Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage. Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage. And someone will say his career can never be saved. Despite all his rage, he's still just Nicolas Cage.
Hey guys, welcome to another installment of Just Nicolas Cage, where I very slowly work my way through Nicolas Cage's filmography. Today I'm talking about the 1991 direct-to-video erotic thriller Zandalee. So the movie Zandalee is about a woman called Zandalee who's married to Judge Reinhold, and their marriage is in a bit of a rut. They're not really vibing sexually anymore. But then comes Judge Reinhold's old high school friend Nicolas Cage, who falls in love with Zandalee and they start an affair together. Who will Zandalee end up with, and does anybody care? So the premise of this movie kind of reminded me of another Nicolas Cage movie I've already reviewed, Moonstruck. Because like in Moonstruck, there's a love triangle where Nicolas Cage comes in pursuing a woman that's already spoken for. So yeah, it is just like Moonstruck, except without the good chemistry or the memorable dialogue or the interesting characters or anything that made Moonstruck good. I mean, Wikipedia labels the movie as erotic thriller. And yeah, I guess technically you can call it an erotic movie. There's a lot of nudity, a lot of sex. And well, yeah, the chick who plays Zandalee is very hot. I wouldn't really call it a sexy movie. It all just feels very excessive and gratuitous. And I don't know, as I'm getting older, I'm getting kind of tired of sex scenes in movies. Especially when they don't particularly progress the plot or anything. I guess in the 90s, where it was harder to find footage of boobs, a movie like this might have served a purpose. You know, it's late at night, you're flicking through the channels, oh, Zandalee, there's a woman's bush. But nowadays, you literally have access to porn in the palm of your hand, so to speak. So the idea of a whole, 1 hour and 40-minute movie that's designed around erotica with a tacked-on, plot and thriller element doesn't really seem relevant anymore. But the movie isn't all sex and nudity, so let's talk about the characters. Starting with my boy Nicolas Cage. Cage definitely has a distinct look here. He's got this long wig that kind of stands up awkwardly at the back, and he's rocking a goatee. Cage's character is a real asshole in this. I don't think he really nails the charm needed to, redeem a character like this. You know, in Moonstruck he comes in in a similar part, like I said, but, you know, you root for him and Cher's character. But this, it's I don't care who Zandalee ends up with, but preferably not in Cage. He does certainly have some memorable lines, though. There's a part where he says, "I don't care who you are, Donald Trump. Without creativity, without life, you're truly unable to go straight up the devil's ass." And he's making this point about how art is more important than wealth. But I don't agree with that, really. You know, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump has gone up the devil's ass at least once. This movie also has one of the greatest Nicolas Cage freakouts ever. Towards the end, Nicolas Cage just trashes all his paintings. At one point he's saying, "Die, die," as he's stabbing a painting. And he completely covers himself in black paint while screaming. It really is a fantastic scene. So you've also got the titular character of Zandalee. And honestly, she's just a really underdeveloped one-note character. She's almost like the blank canvas that, you know, Judge Reinhold is an ex-poet and Nicolas Cage is a painter, and it's like she's the canvas that they project themselves on without really contributing anything, which is kind of gross. And by the way, little tangent about the actress who plays Zandalee. But she's in that show within the show in Twin Peaks, you know, that soap opera? And I just started watching Twin Peaks for the first time recently, so the novelty of that is kind of cool. But also, to bring it full circle even further, Nicolas Cage's previous movie, Wild at Heart, directed by David Lynch, creator of Twin Peaks. But yeah, I just wish he wasn't such a boring character in this. Judge Reinhold plays Zandalee's husband, and he's fine. I did like his scenes with Nicolas Cage a lot better than his scenes with Zandalee. There's a very weird but also very entertaining scene where Judge Reinhold and Nicolas Cage have this intense dance together. Part of me thought it was going to turn out that the two of them were in love with each other all along, and honestly that probably would have made for a better movie. There's also quite a few recognizable faces in the supporting cast that I want to talk about. Marissa Tomei makes an appearance, which means alongside Nicolas Cage there's 2 Oscar winners in this film. Joe Pantoliano plays a very camp gay guy who wears dresses and stuff. It's a real stereotype of a gay guy, if I'm being honest. But I did like that the character didn't really feel like a joke. You know, he was a good friend to Zandalee and they didn't really make fun of him. You know, for 1991, it's not a terrible portrayal of a gay guy. And Joe Pantoliano is entertaining in the role. I always like Joey Pants, or should I say Joey Dresses in this movie, get it? And legendary actor Steve Buscemi sporadically makes about 3 or 4 appearances in this movie. He's credited as OPP Man, which stands for Orleans Parish Prison. I actually had to Google what that was, so I guess I'm not down with OPP. I guess as part of the parole from the prison he works collecting rubbish. And then later you see him running away from the police after stealing something. And then at the end you find out that he's vegetarian and then he says something philosophical. Honestly, he's in this movie less than 5 minutes, but I feel like he has more of an arc than any of the other characters. Also, with Nicolas Cage having long hair and Steve Buscemi playing a convict, it just really made me want to watch Con Air. So overall, this movie isn't good, but I didn't completely hate it. I know at the start I made a lot of comparisons to Moonstruck, but what it reminded me more of was another movie about a guy with long hair who performs these awkward sex scenes, and there's a love triangle with people cheating on each other, and the guy with long hair treasures up a room at the end. And that movie is Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Zandalee and The Room are both movies where you can tell the filmmaker set out to make a piece of art and it just ended up as a mess. And like with The Room, there certainly is a so bad it's good quality to Zandalee. The way the attempts to be artistic, poignant, and sexy completely fail is kind of funny. And some of the performances can be genuinely entertaining at times. But the movie is also kind of dull. I think I'm making it sound more exciting than it actually was to watch. There are definitely some long, boring stretches, especially the scenes where it's just Judge Reinhold and Zandalee. And also there's just an overwhelming trashiness vibe to the whole thing that kind of taints it a little bit. I don't regret watching it though, mainly for how weird it was. But I also don't recommend it. Although I do suggest if you're a Nicolas Cage aficionado, watch that scene where he freaks out with the paint and everything. That's essential. So the next movie Nick Cage was in was Honeymoon in Vegas. And until then guys, thanks for watching.